when you look at people, because obviously you've been in that world where you've seen a lot of sick people, why are there so many sick people, in your opinion?
Because people are lazy.
Okay.
They don't want to work out. They'd rather drink tons of alcohol and numb, whatever's going on with their life. They eat tons of carbs, and people say that they're busy, so they'll eat fast foods, like processed foods. It's just the fast thing. So I think that's why people get sick. Is it's just easier to just order a box of pizza than to cook or to go to the grocery store. People don't want to go to the gym. They feel like they don't have enough time in their day to do it. And people are trained to eat 3 meals a day when you don't need 3 meals a day. We always were taught you need to eat a big breakfast and then a big lunch and then a big dinner. It's like, you don't really need to do that. But we're so trained, just like the Filipino culture, where we're all trained to eat. Like, I was eating rice with every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's just how my parents raised me. But now I don't do that. I had to change my life in the way that I was doing things.
And then people look at you like you're weird,
Yeah,
if you don't do it, because I drink 90% less than I did probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And the reason why is because at some point I got to a point where I said to myself, how is it making my life better? Right? If I constantly drink all the time, and I never constantly drank all the time. I actually, one of the things that I do pride myself is I never had alcohol in the house, really, while I was married and all that, and I never, throughout all those years, I never had alcohol in the house. Maybe a couple of bottles of wine, but that was it. So it wasn't, I was never that person that came home and is like, oh, I need to pop open a beer to wind down, or need to have a little cocktail before I go to bed. I never was that person, because I always felt like it couldn't be good for me. But of course, you go out with a bunch of friends, and then next thing you know, you and a couple of friends are knocking out, 2 bottles of wine in, an hour, 2 hours. And then you're going like, this is not sustainable. It's almost like somebody that says, I want to be successful. I want to be rich. I want to make a lot of money and create great businesses and everything. And then they go party all the time, right? It's like oil and water. They just don't go together. They don't match. So I said to myself, wait a minute, Daniel, you keep saying you want to live to 120 years old, but then you're out on the weekend knocking out a few bottles of wine. And now maybe we had a good time. Maybe we had some fun, but is that really accomplishing your goal? And the answer was no. And so I said, you know what, I think I'd rather not drink. And so I don't drink very often. Every once in a while I will, but it's way less. How does alcohol, as much as when you think about being in the hospital and seeing people, sick and things like that, how much does alcohol play a part in longevity?
Well, I don't think alcohol is good at all. I tell everybody that it's actually the worst drug. It's like a poison. You're poisoning yourself. Do I still drink alcohol? Yes, I enjoy cocktail every now and then. But even now, I do think in the beginning when I didn't want to drink, people would look at me like I was like, what? Why doesn't she want to drink? But I just let people do what they want. If they come to me and they ask me, how do you do this? They all know it's like, you need to cut the alcohol. That's one of the first things I tell them. I don't think it's the best thing for you. I think there's other things that you could do socially, even psychedelics and mushrooms now that have become more popular. That's better for you than alcohol. I know people that suffered from alcoholism, and it just never goes down a good path, and what's funny is I have tons of alcohol in my house and I never drink it. It's just there because I have people over and they all want to bring alcohol. That's what they want to do. And a lot of people commend me for oh, you look great. You look so young. And it really is because I don't
you just
drink
turned
a lot.
75, right? Did
Exactly.
you say you just turned 75? So you look great for 75.
Exactly.
Awesome. So anyways, go ahead.
That's a secret right there.
Yeah,
but I don't drink a lot. I think it is a social thing. I think it's one of those things that people make you feel weird if you are not part of it. And even getting together with friends, everyone's let's do shots. And it's hard to be that one person that's like, no. So
well, it's a stigma. It's kind of like if you're Filipino and you don't like rice, like what's wrong with you, dude? You know what I mean? It's like you have to like rice, you know. But I think that that is hopefully at least part of my mission in the future. Is I want to be one of those people that try to make it more of a standard thing that you don't drink. Like, for example, one of the things I've been doing is I love those little nootropics drinks where they're non-alcoholic, but they kind of give you, kind of a calming feel, and they're just like a chill little cocktail that you can drink, but there's no alcohol in it. But it's got all kinds of superfood, it's all kinds of benefits, but it looks like a cocktail. Like I go, if I'm hanging out, go to the jacuzzi and there's a bunch of people hanging out, a lot of times I'll just bring my little nootropics cocktail. Nobody even knows that I'm not drinking, but it's no alcohol in there. And I'm still chill and I'm still having a good time and I'm still, hanging out and enjoying the social everything, because that's really what it is people, I don't know if it's just that we were, programmed as young people, we're programmed to think if you don't have a drink in your hand, it just feels weird, right? Everybody else has a drink in there. Everybody else has a cocktail. Everybody else has a glass of wine. So you feel left out if you don't. So I think I would like to be one of those voices that say, it's okay, you don't need it. If you want to, go for it. I don't care. It's everybody, to each their own, right? Everybody wants, if you want to have a glass of wine, God bless you. Because if I want to have one, I want to have one. So I don't want anybody telling me I'm bad for having one, but they also shouldn't say I'm bad for not having one either. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think when I say no now, people are like, cool, it's cool. Like they're not gonna be like, no, you have to. Whereas when I was actually younger, they were like, no, you're taking this shot. And I was like, fine, Now I'm just like, no, it's like, or I'll have one and be like, I'm done for the night. Then they're like, all right, cool.
If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here.